And having thus chosen our course, without guile and with pure purpose, let us renew our trust in God and go forward without fear and with manly hearts. The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise with the occasion. As our case is new, so we must think anew and act anew. We must disenthrall ourselves, and then we shall save our country. The proportions of this rebellion were not for a long time understood. I saw that it involved the greatest difficulties and would call forth all the powers of the whole country. Both parties deprecated war, but one of them would make war rather than let the nation survive, and the other would accept war rather than let it perish. And the war came. Fondly do we hope, fervently do we pray, that this mighty scourge of war may speedily pass away. While we must, by all available means, prevent the overthrow of the government, we should avoid planting and cultivating too many thorns in the bosom of society. In this great struggle, this form of government and every form of human right is in danger if our enemies succeed. There is more involved in this contest than is realized by everyone. There is more involved in this contest than is realized by everyone. There is involved in this struggle the question whether your children and my children shall enjoy the privileges we have enjoyed. Don't interfere with anything in the Constitution. That must be maintained, for it is the only safeguard of our liberties, and not to Democrats alone do I make this appeal, but to all who love these great and true principles. My purpose is to be, in my action, just and constitutional, and yet practical in performing the important duty with which I am charged of maintaining the unity and the free principles of our common country. I freely acknowledge myself the servant of the people according to the bond of service, the United States Constitution, and that as such I am responsible to them. Let every American, every lover of liberty, every well-wisher to his posterity, swear by the blood of the Revolution never to violate in the least particular the laws of the country, and never to tolerate their violation by others. Let every man remember that to violate the law is to trample on the blood of his father, and to tear the charter of his own and his children's liberty. The legitimate object of government is to do for the people what needs to be done, but which they cannot, by individual effort, do it all or do so well for themselves. When the white man governs himself, that is self-government. But when he governs himself and also governs another man, that is more than self-government. That is despotism. If there is anything which it is the duty of the whole people to never entrust to any hands but their own, that thing is the preservation and perpetuity of their own liberties and institutions. No man is good enough to govern another man without that other's consent. I say this is the leading principle, the sheet anchor of American republicanism. As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master. This expresses my idea of democracy. Whatever differs from this, to the extent of the difference, is no democracy. The people are the rightful masters of both Congresses and courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert it. I do not mean to say that this government is charged with the duty of redressing or preventing all the wrongs in the world, but I do think that it is charged with the duty of preventing and redressing all wrongs, which are wrongs to itself. Why should there not be a patient confidence in the ultimate justice of the people? Is there any better or qual hope in the world? It is as much the duty of government to render prompt justice against itself in favor of citizens as it is to administer the same between private individuals. Happy day, when all appetites controlled, all poisons subdued, all matter subjected, mind all conquering mind, shall live and move the monarch of the world. Adhere to your purpose, and you will soon feel as well as you ever did. On the contrary, if you falter and give up, you will lose the power of keeping any resolution and will regret it all your life. I am rather inclined to silence, and whether that be wise or not, it is at least more unusual nowadays to find a man who can hold his tongue than to find one who cannot. I believe the declaration that all men are created equal is the great fundamental principle upon which our free institutions rest. Holding it a sound maxim that it is better only sometimes to be right than at all times to be wrong, so soon as I discover my opinions to be erroneous, I shall be ready to renounce them. I believe it is an established maxim in morals that he who makes an assertion without knowing whether it is true or false is guilty of falsehood, and the accidental truth of the assertion does not justify or excuse him. I have been driven many times upon my knees by the overwhelming conviction that I had nowhere else to go. My own wisdom and that of all about me seemed insufficient for that day.